Sienna's eyes burned as she stared at the laptop screen, the cursor blinking mockingly at the end of her thesis paragraph on synaptic pruning and memory consolidation. The apartment was silent, except for the hum of her computer fan and the occasional creak of settling wood. 2:17 a.m. on a Thursday. Her fifth espresso sat cold beside her keyboard, a ring of brown residue staining the ceramic. She typed another sentence, deleted it, typed it again. Neural plasticity in adult subjects showed marked improvement when the warmth started in her sternum, not gradual, not creeping, just suddenly there, like someone had pressed a heated stone against the center of her chest from the inside. Sienna stopped typing, fingers hovering over the keys. She waited. 11 seconds passed while she counted her heartbeats, trying to catalog the sensation with the same analytical precision she applied to her research. Caffeine overdose. Had to be. 5 espressos in 6 hours would make anyone feel weird. She flexed her fingers and returned to typing, but the warmth didn't fade. Instead, it intensified, spreading like hot oil through her chest cavity and crawling up her spine vertebra by vertebra. 90 seconds after it started, the heat had become impossible to ignore. Sienna pushed back from her desk and stood, pressing her palm flat against her sternum. Her skin felt normal temperature on the outside, but internally something was burning. The thermostat on the wall read 67 degrees. The apartment was actually cold. She could see goosebumps on her forearms, even as sweat began to bead at her hairline. "This is like that transformation scene in American Werewolf," she muttered to herself, pacing toward the kitchen. "Except that was a movie, and this is my actual Thursday." She grabbed a glass from the cabinet, but her hand trembled as she filled it from the tap. The water splashed over the rim, spattering the counter. Behind her, Marcus's bedroom door opened with a soft click. "Sienna!" His voice was rough with sleep, confused. "It's 2 a.m. What are you doing?" She turned to face him, trying to arrange her features into something resembling normal. Marcus stood in the hallway wearing basketball shorts and an old Radiohead shirt, his dark hair sticking up at odd angles. His eyes sharpened as he took in her appearance. "Just my body reminding me that sleep is apparently still necessary," she said, attempting a smile that felt wrong on her face. "Thesis deadline does strange things to a person." Marcus stepped closer, squinting at her in the dim kitchen light. "You look like you just ran a marathon. Your eyes are bloodshot." Sienna touched her face reflexively. Her skin felt fever-hot beneath her fingertips, radiating heat like a stove burner. The warmth had spread to her shoulders now, flowing down her arms in waves. She could trace its path through her body, deltoids, biceps, forearms, as if lava were moving through her veins instead of blood. "Here." Marcus grabbed a glass and filled it with water, ice cubes clinking. "Drink this. How much coffee have you had?" She took the glass and drank, but the cold water did nothing. It hit her stomach and seemed to evaporate instantly, leaving no relief. The heat continued its inexorable spread, reaching her wrists now. Her hands had begun to tremble. Not the fine tremor of caffeine jitters, but something deeper, something that originated in her bones. "Maybe you should go to urgent care," Marcus said, watching her hands shake. "It's probably nothing." The words came automatically, even as her internal monologue raced through differential diagnoses. Hyperthermia, without external heat source. Tachycardia. Her heart was definitely beating too fast. Peripheral tremors. Visual disturbances. The kitchen lights seemed too bright, haloed with strange coronas. She pressed her hand to her chest again, trying to assess her heart rate. The beat beneath her palm felt wrong. Too fast, yes, but also too powerful. Each contraction felt primal, thunderous, as if her heart had suddenly remembered it was supposed to be a wild thing instead of a domesticated organ keeping time in a grad student's chest. Marcus moved closer, his face creased with concern. "Sienna, you're scaring me. What's wrong?" She opened her mouth to answer, but the words felt difficult to form. Her tongue felt thick, clumsy. A sudden, sharp pain lanced through her gums, concentrated where her canines met her jaw. She gasped, touching her mouth reflexively. The taste of copper flooded across her tongue. Sienna pulled her fingers away and examined them under the kitchen light. No blood, but the sensation persisted, that feeling of teeth shifting in their sockets, reshaping themselves into something new. The apartment felt too small. The walls seemed to press inward, the ceiling too low, the air too still and recycled. An overwhelming urge seized her. To go outside, to run, to move, to be anywhere but trapped in these four walls with their familiar furniture and their suffocating normalcy. Marcus reached for her arm. "Let me—" She flinched away before he could touch her, the anticipation of contact sending a shock of sensory overload through her nervous system. Even the air currents from his movement felt too intense against her skin. "Sorry," she gasped. "Sorry, I can't explain it. Everything feels too much." And it did. Her senses had sharpened to an impossible degree. She could smell Marcus's deodorant, something with cedar and sage. Could smell the leftover Thai food in the trash from 3 days ago. The pad Thai noodles going sour. Could smell something else too, something she had no reference for. Ozone-like, electric, ancient. Sounds filtered in with crystalline clarity. The neighbor in 4C watching television, laugh track echoing through the walls. A car engine 2 blocks away, the specific rattle of a loose heat shield. Her own heartbeat, impossibly loud in her ears. Something's wrong. The admission felt like defeat, like her analytical mind finally surrendering to something it couldn't categorize or rationalize. Something is actually wrong. Marcus grabbed his jacket from the hook by the door. "Okay, we're going to the ER, right now." Sienna nodded, but even as she did, her body resisted the idea. The thought of a hospital room, confined and fluorescent lit and full of people, made her skin crawl. She forced herself to move anyway, to stand and gather her things. Her legs felt strange beneath her, muscles twitching and realigning as if her body were adjusting its own architecture without consulting her first. She stumbled, catching herself on the edge of her desk, looked down at her hands gripping the wood. Her nails looked longer than they had an hour ago. Not dramatically longer. Not claws, but visible growth where there should have been none. A 1/4 inch of nail extending past her fingertips, slightly curved, slightly pointed. "I'm hallucinating," she said aloud, blinking hard. "That's a symptom of what? Sepsis? Encephalitis?" Marcus grabbed his keys, phone, wallet from the counter, movements quick and purposeful. "We'll figure it out at the hospital. Come on." Sienna moved toward the door but stopped abruptly. The hallway mirror caught her reflection, and something about it was wrong. She stepped closer, leaning in to examine her face. Her eyes looked different. The pupils were dilated, blown wide and dark, but that wasn't the strange part. Her irises were catching the light wrong, reflecting it back like an animal's eyes on a dark road. A bright, almost metallic gleam that human eyes shouldn't produce. She leaned closer to the mirror, watching the light play across her altered gaze. Definitely not normal. Definitely not a trick of the lighting. The heat surged again, stronger this time, concentrated between her shoulder blades. Pain followed immediately, sharp, tearing, as if her muscles were being pulled apart and rewoven into new configurations. Sienna gasped and gripped the mirror frame, knuckles white. Marcus rushed over. "What? What's happening?" My back. The words came through gritted teeth. Something's wrong with my back. The pain intensified, becoming unbearable. It felt like her shoulder blades were trying to push through her skin, like her spine was elongating, like her entire skeletal structure had decided to rearrange itself. She fell to her knees on the hardwood floor. Marcus dropped beside her, hands hovering, uncertain where to touch that wouldn't cause more pain. "This isn't a hospital thing," Sienna managed, looking up at him through tears she hadn't realized were streaming down her face. "This is something else." "What do you mean, something else?" Marcus's voice had gone thin with fear. Sienna met his eyes, her own still reflecting the hallway light with that impossible animal gleam. The pain in her back crescendoed, and she could feel something fundamental changing in her body, some transformation that had started in her sternum and was now claiming every cell. "I don't know," she whispered, "but it's not stopping." Sienna couldn't stand anymore. Her legs felt wrong, the joints bending at angles that didn't match her memory of how knees should work. She dropped to all fours, finding the position disturbingly natural, and crawled toward the bathroom. "Let me help you." Marcus reached down, grabbing her arm. He jerked his hand back immediately. "Jesus, you're burning up. Your skin." "Bathroom," Sienna managed. "Need the bathroom." She crawled faster, Marcus hovering behind her, his fear palpable in the air. She could smell it now, actually smell the chemical signature of his terror, sharp and acrid. When had her sense of smell become that acute? She reached the bathroom and pulled herself up using the doorframe. Marcus tried to follow her inside. "No." She pushed the door closed between them. "Stay out there." "Sienna, you need help. Stay out." She locked the door. Marcus pounded on it immediately, but Sienna was already turning toward the sink, twisting the cold water tap to full blast. She splashed her face, gasping at the shock of it, then froze. Steam was rising from her skin, actual steam, like water hitting a hot griddle. She looked up at the bathroom mirror under the harsh fluorescent light. The changes were undeniable now. Fine, dark hair covered her jawline and neck. Not peach fuzz, not the barely visible hair everyone has. Actual fur, soft, dense, and spreading even as she watched. She touched it with a shaking hand. The texture was wrong for human hair. Too thick. Too uniform. The digital thermometer sat in the medicine cabinet. She grabbed it, stuck it under her tongue, waited for the beep. 106.3 dish. "That should be impossible," she whispered. "I should be seizing. I should be—" Pain lanced through her spine, cutting off the thought. It felt like her vertebrae were separating and realigning, each one shifting position with an internal grinding sensation that made her want to scream. She gripped the sink edge to steady herself. Porcelain cracked under her fingers. She stared at the spiderweb of fractures spreading from where her hands pressed against the sink. "I didn't squeeze that hard. I couldn't have—" She tested her grip on the metal faucet handle. Her fingers dented it like it was made of clay. Marcus pounded on the door again. "Sienna, open the door!" She tried to respond, but her voice came out wrong. Deeper, guttural, like something was caught in her throat. She cleared it and tried again. I'm okay. Just give me a minute." Even to her own ears, the lie was obvious. She pulled off her shirt, twisting to examine her back in the mirror. Her muscle definition had changed. More pronounced, larger. Her shoulder blades protruded differently, like the structure beneath was shifting into a new configuration. She watched in real time as fur spread down her spine like ink in water. Silver gray, thick and lustrous, covering skin that had been bare seconds before. She ran her hand down her arm. Fur there, too, spreading from her shoulders downward in waves. Her breathing became rapid. Panic was setting in fully now. overriding the strange calm that had tried to settle over her thoughts. This is real. This is actually real. I'm not hallucinating. She checked her pupils in the mirror again. Amber rings were forming around her irises. Not hazel, actual metallic amber, like wolf eyes in nature documentaries. Pain exploded in her hands. She watched her fingers extend, bones lengthening beneath the skin. Joints reconfigured themselves, knuckles enlarged. Her nails hardened, darkened, curved into claws. She flexed them experimentally. They were sharp, functional, terrifying. "Sienna, I'm calling 911 if you don't open this door right now." Don't call anyone. Just, "Marcus, I need you to trust me." "Trust you? You're sick. You need a hospital." Sienna looked at her transforming hands, at the claws where her nails had been. "A hospital can't help with this." Her gums ached intensely. She pressed her tongue against her teeth and felt them shift, loose in her jaw. She opened her mouth wide in front of the mirror. Her canines were elongating into fangs. She watched in horrified fascination as they grew over 15 seconds, pushing down past her other teeth. Her jaw structure was changing. Her face was elongating subtly. Cheekbones more prominent. Nose broadening. Her ears were shifting upward on her skull, the tips becoming pointed. And she could hear everything. Marcus's elevated heart rate through the door. Water running in pipes throughout the building. Rats in the walls 3 floors down, their tiny claws scratching against wood. The smell was overwhelming. She could identify 47 distinct scents in the bathroom alone. The chemical composition of the soap. The age of the grout. Marcus's fear sweat from beyond the door. She was getting taller. She had to look down slightly more to see the sink. She estimated she'd gained 3 inches already. Her muscle mass was still increasing. Arms, shoulders, legs, all expanding. Her clothes became painfully tight, fabric straining at the seams. Her shirt tore at the shoulders. Her jeans split along her thighs. She removed the remaining clothes before they cut off her circulation and stood naked, watching the transformation accelerate. Fur now covered 60% of her body surface. Torso, arms, legs, face, all disappearing beneath silver-gray fur. Something was emerging at the base of her spine. A tail, a new appendage that shouldn't exist but was growing vertebra by vertebra. 8 inches, 12 inches, 18 inches. She had motor control over it immediately. She moved it experimentally, watching it swish in the mirror. Her face was changing rapidly now. Her snout pushed forward, human features disappearing, replaced by a lupine muzzle. She tried to speak. "Marcus, But the words wouldn't form properly anymore. Her vocal cords had changed. Speech was becoming impossible. Panic surged through her. "I'm losing myself. I'm losing who I am." But another part of her brain responded with unexpected calm, primal, accepting. The wolf consciousness was merging with her human awareness. Not fighting her, joining her. She experienced a duality of thought, human logic and animal instinct operating simultaneously in her mind. The door lock broke. Marcus burst into the bathroom. He froze in the doorway, his face going pale. He was looking at Sienna mid-transformation. 6'4", covered in silver fur, wolf-faced, clawed, with amber eyes that caught the fluorescent light. He breathed her name. "Sienna?" She turned to face him fully. She opened her mouth to speak. Only a low growl emerged. She tried again, forcing human words through her wolf throat. "Still, me." Her voice was unrecognizable. Deep, resonant, more felt than heard. Marcus backed against the doorframe, trembling. Sienna took a step forward. Marcus flinched. She stopped immediately. She didn't want to scare him more than she already had. A final transformation surge hit her. Her body completed the shift. She stood fully transformed, 6'6", 200 pounds of muscle and fur, digitigrade legs that bent backward like an animal's, a fully lupine head with a long snout and pointed ears. Her tail swished once with agitation. She was breathing heavily, her new body stabilizing as she adapted to its impossible configuration. She made eye contact with Marcus, trying to communicate safety through her gaze alone. Marcus whispered, "What? What are you?" Sienna stood motionless in the bedroom doorway, forcing herself to breathe slowly. In and out. Human discipline applied to a wolf's lungs. Each breath was deliberate, controlled. She wouldn't let instinct override reason. Not yet. Marcus remained frozen against the doorframe, his chest rising and falling in shallow, rapid movements. His eyes tracked every micro-movement she made. The way her ears twitched at sounds he couldn't hear. The subtle shift of her weight from one digitigrade leg to the other. The slow swish of her tail. Sienna needed to communicate, needed him to understand. She raised one clawed hand slowly, so slowly, and pointed to herself. Then she moved that same hand to her chest, tapping over where her heart beat with powerful, steady rhythm. The gesture was simple, universal, still me inside. Marcus's eyes followed the movement. His gaze locked onto hers, those amber wolf eyes that caught and reflected the dim light. For 3 seconds, maybe 4, he just stared. Then something shifted in his expression. Recognition. Understanding. You understand me? You're still... You? Sienna nodded. The movement was careful, measured, non-threatening. She kept her hands visible, kept her posture open despite every predator instinct screaming at her to crouch, to stalk, to move. Relief flooded Marcus's face like a wave. The fear didn't disappear. It was still there in the tension of his shoulders, the white-knuckle grip on the doorframe. But it was joined by something else now. Hope, maybe. Or curiosity. Sienna turned slowly and moved toward the bedroom. Each step was an exercise in concentration. Her legs bent backward now, digitigrade, like a wolf's hind legs. She had to relearn walking in real time, where to place her weight, how to balance with the tail. The mechanics were foreign, but instinct guided her. Muscle memory she'd never built somehow already existed. She passed the full-length mirror Marcus kept propped against the bedroom wall and stopped. Turned, faced her reflection fully for the first time. The creature staring back was magnificent and monstrous in equal measure. Silver-gray fur covered every inch of her body, darker along her spine, lighter on her chest and throat. Amber eyes burned with intelligence and something wild. 6'6" of pure predator. 200 pounds of muscle and sinew wrapped in fur. Her wolf head was fully formed, long snout, pointed ears that swiveled independently, rows of sharp teeth visible when she opened her mouth slightly. She raised one clawed hand to her face, touched the wolf muzzle. The sensation was strange, feeling the touch from both perspectives simultaneously. The softness of fur under her palm, the pressure of her palm against her snout. She explored her own face like it belonged to someone else, ran a claw along her jaw, felt the sharp teeth with her tongue, tested how her jaw moved. The bite force available to her now was extraordinary. She could easily crush bone, tear through muscle like tissue paper. She flexed her claws. Each one was 3 inches long, curved, razor-sharp, designed for rending, for killing. The predator part of her brain noted their efficiency with satisfaction. The human part noted them with a mixture of awe and horror. I'm beautiful, she thought, and I'm terrifying. She tested her range of motion, stretched her arms overhead, bent at the waist, rotated her shoulders. Her body moved with fluid grace that felt impossible. Every movement was economical, efficient, powerful. Her tail shifted automatically to balance her, adjusting to every weight transfer without conscious thought. She hadn't had to learn it. The knowledge was just there, built into her new anatomy. And the senses. God, the senses. She could hear Marcus's heartbeat from 22 feet away, could track how it was slowing from panic rhythm to something more stable, cautious acceptance. She could smell the chemical change in his sweat, fear sweat evaporating, replaced by the sharper scent of curiosity-driven adrenaline. She could see perfectly in the low light. Every detail of the room was crystal clear despite the darkness. The dust motes in the air, the individual fibers in the carpet, the thermal signatures where Marcus had stood earlier, faint warm spots cooling against the ambient temperature. She picked up the cool draft from the window and traced it backward through the air to its source. Detected the pressure change. A storm front moving in from the coast, 83 miles away. Marcus entered the bedroom cautiously, one hand still on the doorframe like it was an anchor. Can you change back? Sienna tried to shrug. The gesture translated awkwardly with her new shoulder structure coming out as a weird rolling motion. She realized she didn't know the answer, didn't know how to change back. Wasn't even sure if she could. She tested her vocalization, tried to form words, forced human language through a wolf's vocal anatomy. Don't. No. The words emerged barely intelligible, distorted and deep, more felt than heard, but comprehensible enough. Marcus understood. Okay, we can figure this out. There has to be, I don't know, a cure? A reversal? Sienna shook her head slowly. It didn't feel like a curse. Didn't feel like something that needed reversing. It felt like an awakening. Like she'd been living her whole life with half her senses dulled, half her strength locked away. Like she was always supposed to be this. Her human consciousness and wolf instinct weren't fighting anymore. They'd fully integrated, merged into something unified, complementary parts of a whole. The predator instinct suggested hunting. Hunger was rising in her belly, sharp and insistent. The human intellect noted with detached fascination. That's both fascinating and terrifying in equal measure. Marcus noticed her attention shift. What? What is it? Sienna placed one clawed hand on her stomach. Looked at Marcus. The gesture was clear. He understood immediately. You're hungry. What do you eat? Instinct answered before she could think. Raw meat, fresh prey, hunt. The words didn't form, but the knowledge was there, certain and absolute. But her human side maintained control. Not Marcus. Never Marcus. He's pack. Pack. The concept settled into her mind with perfect clarity. Not a word she'd thought before. Not about Marcus, but now it fit perfectly. Pack meant family, meant protect, meant trust. She walked to the kitchen, Marcus following several feet behind. She opened the refrigerator and examined the contents with her new senses. The leftover rotisserie chicken from 2 days ago practically glowed with information. She could smell the preservatives, the cooking oils, the breakdown of proteins as it aged. Her human side said, "That's cooked, but it'll do." Her wolf side said, "Acceptable, but not ideal." She took the entire chicken, container and all, tore off the plastic lid with one claw, and ate it in 4 bites, bones and all. The chewing was effortless. She could crush femur bones like breadsticks. The hunger satisfied for now. She would have preferred fresh kill, but this was manageable. Marcus watched with his mouth slightly open. "So you're really a werewolf. Like An actual werewolf. Sienna nodded. Made an affirmative rumbling sound deep in her chest. She noticed her phone on the counter. It looked tiny now, almost comically small. The screen lit up with a notification, the blue light bright in her enhanced vision. Marcus saw it too. Your phone. Sienna tried to pick it up. Her claws made it difficult. She managed to grip it carefully between two claw tips, holding it like it was made of glass. The screen showed a text message from an unknown number. Her eyes widened. Congratulations on your first change. The disorientation will pass. You have questions. We have answers. 2847 Endaha, Vaughan Street, Unit 12. Come alone. We've been expecting you. The Portland Pack. She showed the phone to Marcus, angling it so he could read. He leaned in, his face illuminated by the screen glow. His expression shifted from confusion to alarm. That's across town. How do they know? How do they... Sienna's mind raced. Still analytical, despite her wolf form. They knew this would happen. They'd been watching her. Portland Pack implied organization, multiple werewolves, structure. First change implied there would be more transformations. This wasn't a one-time event. This was permanent. This was her life now. A strange emotion washed through her. Relief mixed with anticipation. Excitement mixed with trepidation. Marcus stared at her. You're not actually thinking of going, are you? This could be, I don't know, dangerous, a trap. Sienna considered. Danger was relative when you were 6'6" of apex predator. Besides, she needed answers. Needed to understand what she was, why this happened, what came next. She made her decision instantly. She was going. She looked at Marcus and touched his shoulder gently with one clawed finger. Poured intention into her gaze. Trust me. He read her expression. Swallowed hard, nodded slowly. Okay, but I'm coming with you. Sienna started to shake her head. Marcus interrupted. The message said you come alone. Didn't say anything about me following at a distance. Despite everything, Sienna felt warmth spread through her chest. Affection. Gratitude. Her pack instinct approved. Loyal, protective, trustworthy. She nodded acceptance. She realized she couldn't go outside like this. Not in residential Portland at 3 a.m. She moved to the window and checked. Dark. Raining. Streets empty. Perfect cover. Marcus grabbed his jacket and car keys, shoving his wallet into his back pocket with shaking hands. Sienna moved to the apartment door. Tested the handle with careful claw placement. Opened it slowly, learning fine motor control through trial and error. She stepped into the hallway. Her senses exploded with information. 47 humans sleeping in the building. 3 cats, 1 dog, 2 rats in the walls. She could identify each individual by scent signature. Could track their locations through the walls. She moved toward the stairwell. The elevator was too confined, too exposed. Marcus followed, his footsteps loud in her sensitive ears. He whispered, "This is insane. This is absolutely insane." Sienna glanced back. Her wolf face was incapable of a human smile, but her eyes conveyed the emotion clearly. I know, but I've never felt more alive. They descended the stairs together into the night. Rain hit Sienna's fur the moment they exited the building. The sensation was incredible. Each droplet was distinct. She could feel them individually, could track their paths through her fur to her skin. She looked up at the sky. The storm clouds parted briefly. The moon was visible, full and bright. Of course it was a full moon. A howl built in her chest unbidden, instinctive, irresistible. She released it, a long, resonant primal call that carried across the city. The sound echoed off buildings, rolled through streets, announced her existence to everything with ears to hear. Somewhere in the distance another howl answered. Then another, then 3 more. 5 distinct voices calling back to her through the rain and darkness. The pack was calling her home. Sienna began to run. Her digitigrade legs ate up distance with impossible speed. Marcus raced to his car, shouting something she didn't process.